Are you tired of seeing that puzzled look on your students' faces when they receive their grades, even after you thought your rubric was crystal clear? We've all been there, and let's face it, creating the perfect rubric for language learning is like navigating a minefield. Mistakes are easy to make, and they can wreak havoc on your grading consistency, and more importantly, on your students' understanding of their own progress. But don't despair. In today's video, we're diving into the top 5 mistakes language teachers make when creating rubrics. And more importantly, how to sidestep these common pitfalls to ensure your assessments are as fair and meaningful as they should be. Trust me, your future self and your students will thank you. My name is Scott, and you're watching Immediate Immersion, where we're all about comprehension-based instruction in the modern language classroom. We'll be right back. Rubrics. We've all got a love-hate relationship with them, don't we? On one hand, they can be a lifesaver when you're knee-deep in a stack of essays or oral presentations to grade. On the other hand, creating a solid one can feel like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, complex and just a little bit frustrating. But let's not forget, rubrics are more than just bureaucratic necessities. They're the roadmap that can guide our students toward not just a grade, but actual language mastery. Think about it. A well-crafted rubric is your student's best friend and your secret weapon rolled into one. For the students, it's a crystal clear breakdown of what's expected of them, like a GPS for their assignments. It says, hey, here's what you need to nail to ace the project. For us teachers, it's a godsend for consistency, especially when we're grading the 30th essay and our brains are turning into mush. Plus, it's a time saver when dealing with any grade disputes. No more second guessing or justifying your decisions. It's all there in black and white. So yeah, taking the time to create a thoughtful rubric is worth its weight in gold, or at least in fewer late-night grading sessions. The perilous world of vague rubrics. We've all been there, right? You think you've outlined what good effort or reasonable understanding means in your head, but when it comes to actually grading these terms make no sense. You're left flipping through assignments, weighing one good effort against another. And let's not even talk about the uncomfortable parent-teacher meetings where you're trying to explain what reasonable understanding really means. And it's not just us. This ambiguity confuses students too. They see good effort and think, well, I tried hard, so I should get full points, not realizing that maybe their effort didn't translate into effective communication or accurate language use. In a language classroom where we're already juggling with 4 skills, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, clarity is key. Instead of the vague good pronunciation, why not say accurate pronunciation of at least 90% of the words? This way, you've set a concrete, measurable target that students can aim for. And for us, it turns grading into less of a guessing game and more of an objective process. Rubrics need to be aligned with learning objectives. If they're not aligned, it's like planning a road trip to the beach and then realizing your GPS is set for the mountains, totally off track. We've all had those moments where we look at a rubric we or someone else has created and think, wait, when did we even cover this in class? It's not just disorientating for us, it's deeply unfair to the students. Imagine you're a student who spent weeks perfecting their speaking skills, only to be assessed on, say, written grammar. It's like training for a marathon and then being handed a swimming cap and goggles on race day. Aligning the rubric with learning objectives of your unit or your course is so fundamental that missing the mark here basically nullifies the whole purpose of your assessment. If your unit focuses on speaking and listening, then those are the competencies your rubric should measure. Full stop. Not only does this make your life easier when it comes to grading, but it also helps students understand where to focus their energy. Because let's be honest, Learning a language is already challenging enough. The least we can do is make sure the targets we set for our students are the ones we actually want them to hit. Got any rubric alignment hacks? Share them in the comments. The overly complicated rubric. The teaching equivalent of trying to read a novel through a microscope. I've definitely fallen into the trap of thinking that more detail equals more clarity. Spoiler alert, it usually doesn't. Instead, you end up with this behemoth of a document that takes longer to understand than the assignment itself. And if we're baffled by it, imagine being a student who's new to the language and trying to decode this intricate mosaic of criteria. Here's the deal. Our rubrics should be user-friendly for both sides of the desk. They should be straightforward enough that anyone can glance over them and get the gist of what's expected. If you find yourself typing up War and Peace for a basic conversation assessment, it might be time to take a step back and ask what's truly essential. What are the core competencies that you're looking to evaluate? Stick to those and cut the fluff. A streamlined rubric isn't just easier to use, it's also more effective because it zeroes in on what really matters. So next time you're itching to add just one more criterion, maybe hit the brakes and keep it simple. The allure of a one-size-fits-all rubric. I get it. But it's like grabbing a kitchen knife to do everything from slicing bread to fixing a leaky faucet. Sure, it's a tool, but is it a right tool for the job? The temptation to recycle a rubric is real, especially when we're crunched for time. But let's not kid ourselves. What works for evaluating an oral presentation won't necessarily hold water when it comes to assessing a writing task. They're different beasts requiring different skill sets, and our rubrics should reflect that. Recycling rubrics without adapting them to the task at hand does a disservice to everyone. For one, it leaves gaps in our assessment, like evaluating speaking fluency in a writing task. What? For students, it can be bewildering and downright frustrating. Imagine prepping for a sprint and then being judged on your pole vaulting skills. Not cool. The more aligned our rubrics are with the specific type of assessment, the more accurate our grading will be, and the clearer the expectations will be for our students. So next time you think about using that oral presentation rubric for a written report, maybe reconsider and tailor it to fit the task at hand. How do you guys adapt your rubrics for different assignments? Drop your wisdom in the comments. So if you're nodding along thinking, yep, been there, done that, and you want to really dive deep into the nitty-gritty of assessment and rubric creation, then you're going to love our Assessment Academy. What we've skimmed over in this video is just the tip of the iceberg. In the Academy, we go into much more detail, exploring the nuances of assessment strategies, diving into real-world examples, and giving you the tools to create rock-solid rubrics that make your life easier and your students' learning more effective. Want in? Just head over to mm.us/academy to register. Trust me, it's a game changer for anyone serious about language instruction. You don't want to overlook the aspect of student feedback and rubric creation. You know, it's easy to think of rubrics as these top-down mandates we hand out from our ivory tower of pedagogical wisdom. But let's not forget, rubrics are essentially for our students to guide them on their journey of language acquisition. And who better to give us insights into how effective that guide is than the travelers themselves? Incorporating student feedback does two things. First, it helps us spot any blind spots or ambiguities we might have missed. Ever had a student point out a confusing criterion that you thought was crystal clear? Yeah, me too. Second, involving students in the process makes them more invested in their own learning. It shifts their perspective from, what do I need to do to get an A, to what do I need to do to actually learn this? It's like turning them from passive consumers of your teaching into active participants. So, as counterintuitive as it might seem, sharing the reins on rubric creation can lead to a more effective and engaging learning experience for everyone involved. Got any stories about student feedback transforming your rubrics? Please share them in the comments below. All right, folks, we've dissected those top 5 mistakes that can trip us up when we're crafting those all-important rubrics. I hope you found some tips in here that'll make your next rubric not just a grading tool, but a communication tool that actually boosts learning in your classroom. If you've had your own rubric revelations or even some horror stories to share, I'd love to hear about them. Drop a comment below so we can all learn from each other's experiences. And if you've got questions or topics you want to see covered in future videos, don't be shy. Let me know. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like this video. Subscribe to our channel for more teaching inspiration and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. Until next time, happy comprehensible input.